that the Rag Vistaar happens in 3 octaves and 3 tempos. So octaves, we understand it in a very simple way: the lower, middle, and the higher. Tempo wise, we call it as lay. So we define it as vilambit, madhya, and drit. Now octaves are very clearly defined. We take a pitch, we have a lower sa, that is the keynote, and then anything below that lower sa is the low octave, above till the higher sa is the middle octave, and then above that is the higher octave, that is the tar saptak. But regarding lay, we don't have any particular definition. What is to be called exactly as vilambit, exactly as madhya, and exactly as drita? Because lay is something which is relative. It differs from person to person. Something vilambit for person X could be little madhya for Y, and vice versa. But yeah, there is still some, everybody can together and say that yeah, this is vilambit, yeah, this is medium. That can happen. There is no exact definition we have. And it is quite according to nature, because lay in itself is relative. Like time is relative, lay is relative. So, again going back to the point, Rag Vistaar starts with the vilambit, that is the slow tempo, and we call it as alap. Instrumentalists also call it as alap. When we say alap, its roots are from vocal, because we say ah, and then it is alap. So now we will begin with alap, because most of the Rag Vistaar, when we call it as Rag, and when the Raga is explored, most of the time it's explored in the alaps. I am saying most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, 90-95%, the Rag has to be explored in the alaps. Today, what we will do, we will choose a Rag we discussed, we will choose Puriya Kalyan. And then in that, we will discuss how the alap has to be done, how the Vistaar has to be done. Then later the medium tempo we will discuss later on, fundamentally how things has to happen. We will now look at the fundamentals, everybody can derive from that. So now in alap, there are 2 types of Vistaar. One is Swara Vistaar, and another is Swara Samuha Vistaar. In musical terms, we call it as Raga Lapti and Rupaka Lapti. To understand in a better way, we can call it as Swara Vistaar or Swara Samuha Vistaar. Now Swara Vistaar everybody can experience very easily. Swara Vistaar means Swar wise Vistaar. You take a note, you choose a note, you go around that as much as possible, and then you come back to Sa. I think everybody understand this concept. I am now very basically just giving idea about both the types, and then we will see in detail. The second is the Swara Samuha Vistaar. Now why this? One has to ask, why these two forms are there? Now thing is, not every rag is of equal size. When we talk about rag Vistaar, not every rag is of equal size or equal dimension. The dimensions of different ragas are different. You cannot claim that the Vistaar of Yaman will happen as much as, or rather the Vistaar of China will happen as much as Vistaar of Yaman. You can't claim, you can't push for it. So there are some ragas, especially the basic ragas, which will be Vistaarit to the fullest, as we can say, to the fullest. In that comes the very prime rag, which is Yaman. Or then, for that matter, today we will do a little bit of Kuryakala. But again, now one has to think in this way, that whether Rag Yaman and Rag Purya Kalyan can be equally Vistaarit. Could be they. Yes or no? Even if we choose Swara Vistaar in both, will Rag Yaman and Purya Kalyan will be equally Vistaarit. Now, some may be knowing Purya Kalyan also here, or you don't. You don't. Simple it is, it's just Komal Re in Yaman. As simple as that. But yet, I am asking whether Yaman and Purya Kalyan can be Vistaarit equally. The answer, again, it can be relative. But broader way, if we look at it, I am talking in a very generic way. Yaman will be more Vistaarit, because even if you just add Komal Re instead of Shuddha Re, the overall dynamics are different. As the name suggests, it is Purya Kalyan, or even it's originally called as Purva Kalyan. So even if we say that there are a lot of difference, just because of that Komal Re, the dimension of Purya Kalyan changes totally. Why? As the name suggests, it has to stick to Purya and Kalyan. Even if we call it as Purva Kalyan, which includes Marwa, again then it will have to stick to some other dynamics. So because of that, it can't be Vistaarit as much as Yaman. Again, Yaman, Marwa, equally Vistaarit? No. See, these all things have to be first taken into consideration while we are doing Vistaar. And talking fundamentals, we will do the main things later on, don't worry, to how to do the Vistaar. We have 2 days. Even 2 days together we do one rag, it's enough. It's good enough. So getting my point, everybody getting my point? Huh? So, now the question, why then Marwa not as much Vistaarit as Yaman? Marwa is Vistaarit. It's too huge. But still not as huge as Yaman. See, there are so many stars, no? There are so many stars. but one star is small, another is too huge. You can't deny that that one is also a star itself. So, what is the possible reason? You can answer if anybody is willing to. Now we will come to this Swara Vistaar topic. How it's relevant now. That when we call Swara Vistaar, in every raga, it's defined which swar will have how much role to play. It's just like drama. There are suppose 6, 7 characters, 5 characters. That is order. Each character will have its own role. It can't, evade beyond that. So now what is happening in Yaman? Which all notes have a bigger role? Sa is the default one. Highest role is of which note? Ga. It is the Vadi. Second highest? Ni. Third rank? Yeah, Pancham. Shadja Pancham are there. Re. And rather after Re will come Pa. And next Dha. And the least is Tivrama, ironically. If you try to use Tivrama too much, it will go to semi-classical. Understand it. It will start going towards semi-classical. Because semi-classical is little loose about these rules. These rules apply only to classical. That is why in all other Kalyan Thaat ragas, Tivrama has very, very meager role to play. Besides Maru Bihar maybe, but you can see Kedar, Amir, Bhoop में तो है ही नहीं. Chariot. So Tivrama has the least role. रोल है ही नहीं ऐसे नहीं बता रहा हूँ मैं, नहीं तो एकदम सब लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे ऐसे कैसे. आई एम टॉकिंग लीस्ट रोल. सो गॉट माई पॉइंट. नाउ द क्वेश्चन वाज यमन एंड मारवा. सो मारवा में क्या है? यमन वी गेट ग, नी, रे, प, dha. Dha also sometimes, not much. Too much dha, then again it will go to semi. समझ में आ रहा है ना? वैसे नहीं आया कुछ भी डाउट हो तो पूछो, क्योंकि sometimes what happens while learning we have something in our minds and सामने से कुछ और ही टॉपिक आ रहा है तो कंफ्यूजन हो सकता है. अभी मारवा में क्या है? We have got only dha, then re, and then तीसरा कैरेक्टर ही नहीं है. लिटिल बिट ऑफ तिव्रमा एंड ग. नी को भी कितना रोल है? कुछ नहीं. Yet it is a big rag. Yet it is a huge rag. Okay, but not as huge as Yaman. This is the only reason why Bhoop being only Oda rag is a big rag. Because in Bhoop again you get everything. All the notes have lot of role to play. Just 5 but lot of role to play. ग है, ध है नीचे का, रे है, प है, सा तो है ही. So while doing the first type, Swara Vistaar, you have to take into consideration these factors. So कोई भी स्वर लिया, उसको पकड़ा, उसका विस्तार किया, नहीं चलता. These are the rules. Why rules? Because that will form the rag. हर किसी का फेस है.